Hey, what's up YouTube? It's King Vita here, and I'm back with another video. And this time it is a NES collection video. So I've done a couple videos, it's been a while since I've done a collection video, and I decided to do it on my NES because I noticed I haven't done one on my NES games. I really love retro games, and the NES is definitely no exception. It's one of my favorite consoles that I used to play when I was a kid. So these are my NES games here, and they're all alphabetized from A to Z. So, we'll get right to it then. The first game we're going to take a look at is this one here. This is the only Japanese NES game I own, which is Ninja Gaiden. Or Famicom game that I own. This is Ninja Gaiden. It's one of the hardest games I've ever played, but it's super fun. I really enjoy this. Playing as Ryu Hayabusa, I mean, everybody knows Ninja Gaiden. It's one of the hardest NES games, but it's really challenging, and challenge is a good thing. But this game is very, very hard for me. But still, I rank it as one of the best NES games ever made, to be honest. I really like this. Definitely recommend this game. Ninja Gaiden. So now that we got that out of the way, let's take a look at the American version. The American NES games. And like I said, these are all alphabetized. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, based on the book. Not a very good game. I played it once or twice, and it's just kind of boring to me. Action-packed high adventure with Tom Sawyer. This is definitely not action-packed, and it definitely doesn't have any adventure. This is a side-scroller, and what it is, it's just, well, you kind of throw metal balls that look like cannonballs or something, and they always go in an arc. So it's really hard to hit your enemies when they're moving, and obviously you have no health bar, you kind of die in one hit. I don't know what Sato was thinking when they made this game. It's just weird. Very weird. But yeah, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Next we move on to the Addams Family. I really like the Addams Family, but this is one of those games where it's very strange. This is the other Addams Family game that not many people have played, because there's another one called Fester's Quest, which is nothing like this one, to be honest. This one, you don't play as Fester, Uncle Fester. You actually play as, I haven't seen the Addams Family in a very long time. Him. I totally forget his name, but you play as him in this game, and it's one of those games where you can get lost if you have no idea where you're going. There's no map, and it's very confusing. But it's not a bad game by any means. It's just kind of hard. Gomez, that's his name. You play as Gomez in this game. So yeah, the Addams Family. The other Addams Family game made that is in Fester's Quest. Here we have Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle. Or the Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle. Or Bugs Bunny the Crazy Castle. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but I'll just call it Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle because that's what I hear people calling it. This game isn't really bad. This game is really good. It's not really good or really bad. It's mediocre. There you go. But the point of the game is to collect every single carrot and advance to the next level. And you're constantly trying to protect yourself from Yosemite Sam right here. You're trying to protect yourself from Yosemite Sam, Sylvester, and Daffy. They're always after you, and anything that touches you kills you in one hit. You have no life bar, which is kind of ridiculous because they should have, I don't know, they should have added a jump button or something. I mean, on the cover, you see him jumping, but you don't see that in the game. It's just weird. Again, one of those, not a bad game. I have beaten this game, but it's still kind of confusing because, you know, you don't have an attack in the game. All you do is pick up things and throw them. You can't punch, you can't kick, you can't do anything, so. It's needlessly hard, but not a bad game. I like Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle. It's whatever. Moving on to the trilogy of hardest games I've ever played in my life. The Castlevania games. I really love the Castlevania games. So here you play as Simon Belmont. And I'm really glad they added Simon Belmont in the newest Smash Bros. Games. Simon Belmont was a really, really cool character, and it's just awesome that you get to fight Dracula, you know, in a really, really tough as nails game, because this game is very, 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 very hard. A very good game, but extremely hard as well. I've never been able to beat Castlevania, and I don't think I ever will. This is a very tough game, but it's really fun and challenging. So yeah, Castlevania. Classic NES game. And what would Castlevania 1 be without Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest? Yeah. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. You play as Simon Belmont. And this is not a linear game. This is probably the first Castlevania game I've ever played that wasn't a linear game. You don't go from point A to point B. You actually have to go around towns and talk to people, and it's just confusing. There's an item pouch where you like have to put you have to collect items, obviously. There's this level where you're supposed to, if I remember correctly, you're supposed to walk into a cemetery, drop some garlic, and, you know, a figure appears. and they gives you special abilities. Like, Simon's Quest is a very, very hard-esque game, but the hardness comes in just... It's confusing. Do I go here? Do I go there? There's no map system. You just go left and right, and it's... I don't know what to say. It's good, but it's bad. I don't know. I'm on the fence about Simon's Quest. Yeah. And, of course, we have the whole trilogy. Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. I enjoy Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. This is actually the hardest of the NES titles from the Castlevania series. It's extremely difficult. But the cool thing is that they added... You don't actually get to play as... I think in this game you play as an ancestor of Simon. I totally forget. I don't think it's Richter Belmont. I can't remember. But what's cool is that even though this is the hardest of the NES trilogy, it's definitely cool because you get to play as other characters, not just not just the ancestor of Simon. You get to play as Sypha, I think, who freezes his enemies, and that's pretty cool. But as the game drags on, it just gets even harder and harder and harder. But another cool thing about this game is that you get to choose your path, like where you want to go. Once you beat a level, it puts you in this map screen, and it gives you multiple pathways, and you could choose where you want to go and what the next level is going to be. Really fun, but also, of course, hard, as a Castlevania game should be. Now we move on to Double Dragon. Billy and Jimmy Lee. Unless, of course, you actually follow the story, which is, there's a typo called Bimmy and Jimmy. Bimmy and Jimmy. But anyway, what could you say about Double Dragon? There was a cartoon of it in the late 80s. It's really, really hard. It's one of those hard games. If anybody's actually played Double Dragon, you know how hard it is. And it's one of those games. It's a beat-em-up game, but it's a beat-em-up game where everyone just like gangs up on you and you gotta fight every single one of them. The Abobos are just a pain. The Abobos are a really big pain, and you just can't just like... I don't know, this game has a lot of glitches. There's this level where you're climbing up a mountain or something, a wall or whatever. And then I think it's like level 3 where you get to the top and you see an Abobo. But it's kind of funny because you don't have to fight him. You automatically assume you got to fight him, but you could just walk, climb back down a ladder, and that's it. The level's beat. You could climb back down to where you were and just ignore the Abobo, and the level counts as beat. NES games have very weird, I don't know, call them glitches or secrets. I don't even know, but it's very strange how they program the NES games. But still fun. Still fun. Double Dragon. Dr. Mario, another puzzle game. I love Dr. Mario. And it's interesting that in Super Smash Bros. Melee, they kind of treat Dr. Mario as his own character. He's not Mario, he's Dr. Mario. They have like 2 Marios, which is weird. They treat this one as his own character. But either way, this is a really good puzzle game. And the object of the game, obviously, is to... It's kind of like Tetris, in a way, where you have to connect the pills in certain colors. And once there's 4 of that color, it disappears. And you can... and if that color is close to an enemy of the same color, you kill it. And once all the enemies are killed, you move on to the next level. And it just progressively gets harder and harder and harder because I think in like the first couple levels you kill like 2 or 3 or 5 of them or something. But in later levels they multiply. You know, it goes from 5 to like 8 or 9 at a time. So really challenging game, Dr. Mario. But it's fun. I enjoy it. Dr. Mario. DuckTales. I like DuckTales. I have a complete series on DVD of DuckTales, and I also bought the remastered version on the PS3. Another classic by Capcom. I enjoy this game. This is a linear game where you're supposed to collect treasure. You're supposed to collect Uncle Scrooge's treasure, or Scrooge McDuck. Scrooge McDuck's treasure. And... excuse me. And, oh, gas. And the more treasure you collect, the more points you get. Yeah, this game is all about, like, points and stuff. So you travel through different areas of the world looking for Uncle Scrooge's treasure, which is, I believe, stolen by the Beagle Boys. If I remember correctly, Beagle Boys. And I believe in the end, you're supposed to fight Magica Dispel. I haven't really gotten to the end yet. Ever gotten to the end. Because, I don't know, I just can't seem to beat this game like I did the PS3 version. The PS3 version feels easier than this. But it's still a great game, DuckTales. You could tell how much I've played it because the cover is just ripping apart. DuckTales, really, really good. Really good game by Capcom. Next, we have our first black box game. Excitebike. There's nothing to Excitebike. I mean, you ride a motorcycle and you do tricks. And you gain points and you pass levels based on the tricks you do. I mean, there's not much to this game. But it's really fun, Excitebike. It's a programmable series game. Now, what that means, for anybody that doesn't know what a programmable game is, it means that it gives you the option of creating your own, like, program your own track into the game. I don't know if it's a battery backup on this. I don't know if the battery's dead, but for whatever reason, it doesn't save anything you do. So programming your own course is basically pointless in the end. But it's fun. It's a really fun game. I actually have beaten it. Not a bad game. Excite Bike. That was a launch title for the NES because it was a black box game. Again, you could tell what a black box game looks like because it has the whole black box thing concept. I really need to get more of these dust protectors. Godzilla, Monster of Monsters. Yeah, this game sucks. I bought it because I'm a massive Godzilla fan. I absolutely adore giant monster movies, and I'm a huge Godzilla fan all around. But this game is just... it's bad. It's the basic fundamental. It kind of like goes into a board game. When you start the game, it goes into a board game. But then when you engage the monsters in battle, it goes into this two-player look scene where you fight the monster, basically. But engaging the enemy in battle is kind of awkward because when you go to, like, the monster is right there, but you don't want to fight him, you want to move ahead, and it says, will you fight the enemy? No, but it doesn't take no for an answer. But it says contacting the enemy, so you gotta fight him. It's just weird. Other times, the game thinks you're trying to move, but it won't let you. It's just weird. It says, like, if there's a monster right there and you want to fight the monster, you want to fight him. But the game says, oh, you can't move because you're being blocked by a monster. It's confusing. The game doesn't even know what you're trying to do. But past all those flaws, it's not good, but it's a mediocre game. I mean, you play this to get when you're bored. But since it has Godzilla on the cover, and I'm a huge Godzilla fan, I had to get it. And, I mean, part of my NES collection. Godzilla, Monster of Monsters. Which is weird, because most of these games, now that I'm looking at it, most of these games don't have the full cover, the full title on them. Because this game is called Godzilla, Monster of Monsters. But when you turn it this way, it just says Godzilla. Very weird. But either way, that's Godzilla. Gremlins 2, the new batch. I recently played this game. Very, very confusing game. But it's one of those games to me where you play as Gizmo, which is the main character of Gremlins and Gremlins 2. Yeah, this game is pretty random because it's a side-scroller game. But at the same time, I mean, to me, it's a where do I go kind of game. I get lost all the time. There's secrets in this game. You're supposed to go from point A to point B, but it doesn't really make it clear where I'm supposed to go. There's no map or anything like that, and the power-ups are just ridiculous. There's balloons. There's boxes. It's the Gremlins 2. It's kind of hard to explain. And I love how the fact that it says the Gremlins 2, the new batch, and at the very tiny, you think you need like a microscope to read it, it says the video game. I don't know why they did that. They put it in such tiny letters. But, oh well. It's an okay game by Sunsoft. I wouldn't say it's one of the best in the NES library. And if you haven't played this game, it's not like you're missing out on anything. But it's not a bad game either. Ghostbusters. Oh boy, oh boy. This game is terrible. Okay, let's get one thing out of the way. I love the Ghostbusters. I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan. I love the cartoon. I love the original Ghostbusters 1 and 2 movies. I hate the remakes. But I love the Ghostbusters. As a franchise, it's amazing. And this game is terrible. This game is horrible. That's literally what it sounds like. It's so strange, you can't even tell what he's saying. It's just awkward because you're playing levels that are just strange because you're supposed to you drive the Ecto-1 to get from point A to point B, but it's strange because you run out of gas. You always end up running out of gas at the very moment where you're trying to get to your destination using the Ecto-1. And you have to collect gas canisters along the path, and it's just really weird. And if you run out of gas while you're driving the Ecto-1, two little guys come out and push the Ecto-1 to a gas station, and you kind of don't make it to your destination. You got to click on the destination again. And also it's hard because you have to keep the ghosts from entering the Zool building. That's what they call it. In the movie, there were 2 characters. There were 3. Gozer, Vince Clortho, and Zool. And apparently there's a building called Zool, so I'm guessing Zool bought the building. I'm not sure. It's just really weird. This game has... If it weren't for Ghostbusters, you wouldn't know what you're playing. But it's not good. Let's put it that way. It's not good. It could be better. No. I don't recommend this one. Especially if you're a Ghostbusters fan. This is a disappointment. No way. Now we get to these right here. Halfway there. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. No. No. Basically what you do in this game, you're Macaulay Culkin, and you are in you're not home alone. You are in I guess, hotel. Yeah, you're in a hotel, since it's based off the second movie. And it's just random because most of the characters, most of the villains you fight are people that work in the building. There's old ladies that jump in a parabol sort of thing. If you know math, you know what a parabol is. There are chefs. There's so many things trying to kill you in a hotel that you're staying at. And it's funny because the game doesn't even tell you what you're supposed to do. There's this one part in the game where you make it all the way to the end of the hall and you press an elevator elevator button to call the elevator, but it doesn't tell you if you clicked it or not. You just have to wait. You have to assume you have to wait until the elevator comes, and that's basically it. You move on to the next floor. It's a very strange game, and it doesn't really explain anything. You have to figure it out for yourself. Kind of like how Macaulay Culkin always has to figure things out for himself because he's a 10-year-old boy stuck at home. Got me there. So that's Home Alone 2 on Lost in New York by THQ. It's kind of okay. I mean, if you're a fan of the Home Alone games, but again, could be better. Krazy Kreatures. I love this game. This is a really good puzzle game. And for a game that's made by American Video Entertainment, and this is an unlicensed game, and it's made for the NES, this is super fun. I can play this for hours and not get bored. I really like my puzzle games, and this does not deprive me of that joyful happiness I get when playing puzzle games on the NES. So Krazy Kreatures is mainly kind of like it's kind of like Tetris. The whole concept is you're not supposed to fill the whole screen. You're supposed to stop the screen from filling up. But what's cool is that you get to, once you reach a certain number of animals, it gives you points. Like, let's say you have 3 dogs, that gives you like 30 points. But if you have like, it goes by 10. So if you have like a whole line full of dogs like across the screen, that's more than 100 points. And, you know, you can clear the screen faster. And it's just really fun. I really enjoy it. It's one of those games where you have to play to understand how it works. Because you're basically cleaning the screen full of animals, talking heads, mouths that do this, heads that spin. It's Tetris weird. It's a weird version of Tetris. You have to play it yourself to see, or look up videos on YouTube to see what Krazy Kreatures is about. It's super fun. I like it. And I have hours of fun playing Krazy Kreatures. Oh yeah. Also, what's really funny is this right here, press here. Because it's supposed, like, you put it on the NES and you push it down, but it's weird to have it there. I mean, it's just strange, especially when you put it on a top loader, because I have a top loader. I have an original NES, but also a top loader, so it's just strange. Krazy Kreatures. Kirby's Adventure. I love Kirby's Adventure. This is probably one of the best games I own on the NES. And it's fun. It's funny because Kirby is pink, but apparently some people never really understood that, because Kirby, the first time Kirby ever appeared, I believe, was in the Game Boy, and the Game Boy didn't have any colors, so people thought Kirby was white, but in reality he was pink. So they made this, and he's kind of pinkish in this game. Yes, pink. He's pink, not kind of pinkish. He is pink, but most people thought he was white because the original Game Boy was black and white, or black and green. Okay. But this is a really good game. Kirby's Adventure, I recommend this if you're a Kirby fan and haven't played old school Kirby on the NES. Really good game. Kung Fu. It's another black box game. And it's a good game. It's okay. But I believe this was, I think the Karate Kid was kind of an idea, not really a version. I don't think it was based on this, but it was an idea based on this. I don't know. But yeah, Kung Fu is one of the classic NES, black box NES games. I don't even know where the idea for Karate Kid came from. Let me know in the comments. The original, not the Jackie Chan remake, the original. This is actually not a bad game. Very hard, especially at later stages, but not a bad game. Classic black box game. Yeah, part of the action series. Life Force. I did manage to beat this game. And this is probably one of the coolest games I've ever played. And yes, this giant snake does appear in the game. But, of course, the picture looks way better than it does in the actual game. But yes, this snake does appear at the final boss. Spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't played Life Force. A nice shoot-'em-up by Konami, or as they call it, shmup. Space shooter. It's really, really good 2D action side-scroller, and very hard, to tell you the truth. It's extremely hard. And because this game is made by Konami, the 30 life Konami code actually works in the game. It actually does work in the game, and it's really, really, really cool. By the way, for those of you old schoolers that, you know, old school gamers, you guys are fine. But for you younger audience, and for those of you that don't know it, there you go. There's the code. And, yeah, it's the 30 life code, and it definitely works. It definitely helps out in a game like this, because Life Force is pretty hard, especially if you don't know what you're doing. But it's basically just a fly a ship and shoot. Fly the ship and shoot. It's basically what it is. Life Force. Metroid. Another classic NES game. One of the first adventure series on the NES. This was so cool. I really love Metroid. And this is probably the coolest Easter egg or surprise in any video game ever. Because back then, I always thought Metroid was a guy or a robot or whatever. It blew my mind when I beat the game and found out that Metroid was a girl. Samus Aran. Probably one of my favorite Nintendo characters is Samus, for sure. But back then, it was a whole trip to find out that the main character was a girl. It's so cool. Also, the weird thing is called Metroid. I thought that was the name of the main character, Samus Aran. But I was wrong. Turns out a Metroid is one of those weird-looking, alien-looking things that... It's kind of a brain with teeth. I never knew what a Metroid was when I was younger, so that's really cool. Metroid. Very fun game. And probably one of the coolest sci-fi games I've ever played. Pro Wrestling, another black box game. I like this game. This is probably one of the best wrestling games I've played on the NES. Yes, it's not WWF. It's not, you know, other fighting games. It's not even Dragon Ball Fighters or anything like that. But for the time, it was really good, especially if you're a fan of wrestling and all you had was an NES. Pro Wrestling, another classic, great black box games for the NES. Really cool. It's fun to play, even today for me. Punch-Out! Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Funny story behind this game. When it was originally released, there are 3 versions of this game. 3 that I know of. There are probably more, but they only know like 3. The first one was called Punch-Out, and obviously it was on NES. All 3 of them were on NES. So the first one was called Punch-Out. Then for whatever reason, they decided to give Mike Tyson, or Mike Tyson himself asked for the rights. I don't know. I don't know the whole story, but they were able to license Mike Tyson's likeness, so they put Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. But eventually, Mike Tyson lost the rights to that, and they just re-released the game a 3rd time, just calling it Punch-Out. That's the whole story. Well, that's not the whole story. I don't know the whole story, but that's just like the main points. This game went through 3 changes. Punch-Out, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and Punch-Out again. For whatever reason I've yet to understand. If you know the reason, let me know in the comments below why this game changed 3 times the title. But there you go, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Classic sports game. Rambo. Probably one of the worst NES games I've ever played. Acclaim makes good games, but this is not one of them. If you're going for a, run and gun, shoot 'em up game on the NES, look no further than Contra. Play Contra. Trust me. Play Contra. Avoid this game. I think this was like an experiment. I don't even know what they were trying to be. It has a needless storyline. The character Rambo doesn't really do anything. I think this was like also a Zelda clone because It has a story, but at the same time, when you hurt an enemy or whatever, numbers come out, you know, just like Legend of Zelda. It's just strange to me that this game came out when you had games like Contra. Every kid played Contra, including myself. I don't know one kid that played Rambo. Also, the cover is kind of deceiving because you don't have... You're supposed to... There's a level where you pick up a gun. But for the most part, you're just killing snakes and spiders and weird things with a knife. And throwing bombs and stuff. That makes no sense. It's just weird. You do have a machine gun, but you're supposed to find it somewhere in the middle of God knows where. But overall, it's just not good. It's not a good game. You want to play a game like this, play Contra. For sure. Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt. Every kid who ended up buying an NES back then got this game, of course. I can't really say much about this. If you haven't played Super Mario Brothers or Duck Hunt, what are you doing? What are you doing? You should totally play this at least once. Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. That's basically it. Although I think they do have a version of this where it's just Super Mario Brothers. I think they have the game just as Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt also as well. But this is probably one of the most common 2-packs there are. So we're almost done here. Super Mario Brothers 3. Probably one of the best games on the NES. And this cartridge looks brand new. Even still to this day. I even have the manual. All I'm missing is the box itself because I also have the dust protector. But yeah, Super Mario Brothers 3. Probably one of the best games on the NES, without question. It's so much fun, and anybody that knows their retro history or their gaming history knows that the very first time the world had ever seen this game, they didn't even know what this game was, and it was a whole... I think there was like a documentary on it on the internet, I'm not sure, but the time when, back in the 80s, this is me studying my video game history because I was born in 92. The first time anybody ever saw Super Mario Brothers 3 was in the movie The Wizard, which is about a kid who's like really good at video games. That's not the whole story, but that's part of the story. Oh yeah, the kid wants to go to California, but so his brother tries to get him there because he wants to stuff some sort of toy inside Dinny the dinosaur. Okay, but then throughout the story they actually enter Video Armageddon, and that was like the first time anyone, which was a competition, a video game competition called Video Armageddon, and that was the first time the entire world was introduced to Super Mario Bros. 3. So that's really cool. I really like this game. Very iconic, and it's a really good game. All I need is a box because I also have, like I said, I have the manual. It's in color. So. And the dust protector. So. Super Mario Bros. 3. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is not good. I'm assuming because the Turtle comics were all in black and white, people just assume that they had the same color. They couldn't tell them apart. So every single character is Raphael, apparently. Sure. Why not? Yeah, the original Turtles comics, they were all black and white. They didn't have any color. So they decided to paint the whole Turtles as red, where it's supposed to be red, blue, purple, and orange. If anybody's a huge Turtles fan, like me, you should know what colors they are. But yeah, this is a, I guess, iconic game made by Outtro Games. But it's not, you know, it's not really, really big. But it's okay. It's okay game. I like it. Speaking of Turtles, you have Turtles 2, the arcade game. I don't play this one much, so I have nothing... I don't really remember this that well. I don't know. Sorry about that. I don't remember this game as well, so I can't really tell you much about it. I haven't played it in a while. So, sorry. It could be a good game, but I just can't remember. But I have it. Tetris. What could be better than Tetris? Very addicting game. Nothing to it. It's, everybody knows Tetris. You stack blocks. Get a certain number of blocks in a row, and you delete the row, and you continue. That's it. Speaking of that, for those of you that don't know, Tetris was actually invented. Tetris comes from the Greek word tetra, T-E-T-R-A, which means segments containing 4 pieces. And what's cool is that every single piece in here is compiled of 4 squares, 4 blocks. That's cool. And Tetris was actually created by a guy in Russia. So there's your little history lesson there. But Tetris is really good. I love Tetris. The relentless building block video puzzle. I spent hours playing this. And if this isn't enough, they also have Tetris 2, which has exploding blocks. So this Tetris is just regular plain old Tetris. This one has bombs on it, so that's cool. I mean, you stack blocks, but at the same time avoiding the bombs. And if you get caught by a bomb, obviously you lose. So that's basically it. Oh, and if you manage to pass the level without exploding any bomb whatsoever, then all the bombs still explode, but nothing happens to you. You pass the level 2, and the whole, the entire rows, the blocks, everything disappears, and you go on to the next level. Tetris 2 is really, really good. I enjoy it. I really like this. Tetris 2. Not a very well-known NES game, but it's good. And finally, we get to that gold cart right there, and of course you can tell what that is, and it is the... Can anybody tell me what this is? Pause the video, let me know, because this is pretty much, everyone should know this by now. Pause the video, link it, write it in the comments, and let me know. And that would be... Did you get your answers in yet? Legend of Zelda. I love Legend of Zelda. I'm a huge Zelda fan, and this game is no exception to the rule. I had to get this and make it part of the NES collection because, I mean, I don't think you're a Nintendo purist if you've never played any Legend of Zelda game. This is a really, really good experience, a challenge of endless adventure. This is so good. I'm such a big Zelda fan that my favorite game is A Link to the Past. I think I've already mentioned that. My favorite game is obviously A Link to the Past. But not only do I own that, but I also own other Zelda things. Like, I own the entire history of Hyrule in a book, but also I own an art book of the games of Zelda. That's how big of a Zelda fan I am. I think this is really, really good and probably one of the best games ever made on the NES, for sure. Definitely. Funny story. I always thought that along with quite a lot of people, I always thought that Zelda was actually the name of the character you played as until I did my research and found out that Zelda was actually the princess you're supposed to save. The character you play as is Link. I did not know who Link was. I always thought, like I said, I always thought that you controlled Zelda and it's your legend, but turns out Zelda's the princess. Go figure. But yeah, classic game, and this is a must-own if you have an NES collection. Legend of Zelda, for sure. I do not have Legend of Zelda 2, Link's Adventure, but, you know, if I could find it somewhere, I might get it. You know, you never have too many video games, I always say. So, Legend of Zelda. So, that concludes my entire NES library. I wanted to do a video game collection video on my retro games because I already have 2 video game collection and videos, and they've done pretty well. The PS4 one and the PS3 one, they're doing pretty well. So I thought, well, why not do the same thing for my NES and know that I also collect retro games and play them. These are all playable. None of these are broken. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and that's pretty much it. That's my NES. That's my entire NES collection, including the Ninja Gaiden game on the Famicom, on the original Famicom. So yeah, that was my entire collection of NES games from A to Z, because I like alphabetizing my things. And this King Vita saying, laters.